role of soft skills has been narrated by Mr. Arvind Mishra as well as by Mr. Vivek. Soft skills have an important roles in performance enhancement of the employees and if the department as a whole, and help us to become better persons to handle diverse challenging situations. In the present era of domain technical skills which are required for our roles, the use of soft skills is still important and relevant whenever we interact with the officers, the taxpayers. The chairman CBTT in the HRD conference, which is going on as of now, has also laid down great stress upon the taxpayer services and the manner in which we interact with the taxpayers. So the role of soft skills cannot be said to be irrelevant or little significance. Rather, this is getting more and more importance because of the changing technological advancement and social media content. Moreover, a happy and satisfied employee can do wonders for the department as well as spread positivity and happiness. DTRTI Lucknow has been carrying out several webinars and seminars on the soft skills, and they have developed a sort of specialization in this area. The speakers, if I look at the schedule of today's webinar, I find that all the three topics as well as the three speakers are very prominent, and they have been delivering the lectures, the thoughts to the participants in a very lucid manner. The first speaker is Swami Narsimhananda, a monk of Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission. He is a consummate speaker and head of Kozhikode Mission of Ramakrishna Mission. Swami Narsimhananda is very popular for his lectures, and he has been chosen and nominated by none other than the Central Authority Headquarters at Belur Math, Kolkata of the Ramakrishna Mission. He has been speaking regularly at the institutes of national importance like IITs and management colleges. He would be delivering the lecture on the topic productivity in a stressful environment, which is very appropriate in the present era. The second speaker for the today's conference is Dr. Himanshu Rai, who is director of IIM Indore. He is an educationist and alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad and has been conducting training programs and workshops for executives as well as bureaucrats, not only in India but around the world. As I was going through his profile, I found that Dr. Himanshu has trained over more than 20,000 professionals in diverse sectors and fields. His topic today would be upon ethical leadership, which is also very relevant, and rather it is ever relevant. What we need today is development of holistic leadership in line with our past traditions, the importance of ethics in our daily life, including official life, is predominant and prominent. The session 3 for today will be taken by Swami Chidurupananda, who is also an accomplished speaker, a highly learned persona, and he's the head Acharya of the Youth Affairs of Chinmay Mission. Swamiji's repertoire is large and covers the entire gamut of human personality. Peace of mind is very crucial to build capacity, raise concentration and focus, and in this aspect, the spirituality will definitely lead to development of ways through which we can improve peace of mind, reduce stress, and perform in a better way. I can definitely say that all the three speakers are great experts and will have a lot to share their thoughts with us, and so that we can emulate them in our daily lives. They have been chosen with a great deal of analysis and thought. Today they will be speaking live for all of us, although their videos and clips are available on the YouTube and other social media channels. Coming back to the status in the department, that we are going through a huge transformative change and the associated challenges with the change which has been undertaken. As of now, the world is beset with pandemic, and therefore we all are feeling stressed on this account. We at NEDT and the team at DTRTI Lucknow sincerely hopes that this webinar would offer us a golden hope and light of knowledge, happiness and relief, so that we can handle the situation better and move ahead in the sovereign functions which have been assigned to us. My inaugural address would be incomplete if I don't talk about DTRT Lucknow. DTRT Lucknow, as Vivek and Arvind has said, that it has been at the forefront of imparting training on management and soft skills since 2015 and has so far taken, I think, around 40 such webinars and seminars. These courses are very popular amongst the departmental officers, and there has been a request for taking repeat courses for the benefit of the officers. So I compliment the entire team DTRTA Lucknow for this wondrous and useful task being performed by them. In the end, I would say that I'm sure that this course will go a long way to give the right management approach and soft skill inputs to the participants. I think a participative mechanism and manner would help the grasp of better knowledge, more and more knowledge, and participants should therefore participate in the webinar and seek clarification on the problems which they are facing from the experts, three experts, which we are fortunate to have with us today. Again, I wish you all a very enjoyable learning experience. I wish such conferences, such webinars are held as and when needed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And we are so glad and honored to have your blessings. At this point of time, I would like to request my Joint Director, Shri Surendra Mohan, to kindly offer a vote of thanks to Principal DG, sir.
Check. Sir, please kindly confirm whether I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of all the participants and team DTRTI, let me thank our Principal DG, sir, for being with us despite of his busy schedule. We are very well aware about the compulsions sir have today. And sir has rightly pointed out about the course. As we know that in the management theory, it is very well proved that for success of any leader, 80% is the emotional intelligence involved, and only 20% of the is the intelligence involved. So emotional intelligence is very important, and soft skill is one of the area which caters the need to manage the emotion of oneself and also the others. Sir has rightly pointed out that in these time of technological advancement, uh, webinars are just buzzword in all the areas of human endeavor, and we have to adapt ourselves to these. On the soft skills, sir have said that for these are very crucial for performance enhancement. Sir has rightly pointed out this, and we are sure that all the participants would be benefited from this course, and our very learned faculties we have invited for this purpose. Sir has rightly pointed out that in the changing context where department is turning towards the citizen-centric and more sort of service provider, soft skill of very crucial. And with the soft skill, we can cater not only cater the need of the taxpayers, but we can also cater the policy of the government which they have leveled for us. Once again, let me take this opportunity to thank you, sir, for being with us despite such a busy schedule. Your presence will definitely motivate us for doing excel in our future courses. And your kind word for the DTRTI Lucknow, being the nodal DTRTI for the soft skill course from the level of employees till the highest level. Sir, your words of wisdom will go a long way. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, friends, we move on to begin the first lecture of today's webinar. And as Principal DG NADT sir has already given a small brief introduction to all the participants of our speaker, I would like to give a little more detailed introduction of Swami Narsimhananda, who is there present with us at this point of time to deliver the first lecture of today's webinar. Friends, Swami Narsimhananda is a monk of the Ramakrishna Math and the Ramakrishna Mission, which was founded by Swami Vivekananda in 1897. And he is presently the secretary of the Ramakrishna Mission Sevashram at Kozhikode, Kerala. And he runs a higher secondary school, a kindergarten, and a polyclinic as part of his responsibilities. Swamiji is a former editor of the famous Prabuddha Bharat, that's an English monthly journal of humanities and social sciences that was started by Swami Vivekananda himself in the year 1896. Swamiji has edited a volume of Swami Vivekananda's teachings titled Vivekananda Reader. He regularly speaks in institutions of national importance like the Indian Institutes of Technologies. Swamiji specializes in Indian studies, Indian philosophy, sociology of religion, philosophy of religion, religious studies, and translational studies. Swamiji can speak and write in Hindi, English, Sanskrit, Malayalam, Bengali, and in Tamil. As part of his responsibilities in the Ramakrishna Mission for the last 23 years, Swamiji has handled the departments of financial management, investment portfolio management, human resources management, publications, sales, publication, production, audio production, video production, information technology, personnel training and development, relief and rehabilitation. And Swamiji frequently conducts professional development programs for mid and senior levels, management executives, focusing on following ethics at the workplace. So Swamiji is with us today, and Swamiji will be talking about productivity in the stressful circumstances. Stress is capturing almost everyone nowadays, and therefore it's all the more important that we understand the nature of stress. And having understood the nature of stress, I think we will be able to devise and understand the strategies to handle various situations and to improve productivity, particularly for our senior officers. Productivity is a very important thing to take care of, and therefore it becomes all the more important that we do understand how to get over the productivity issues in stressful circumstances. So with those words, I invite Swami Narsimhananda Swami to kindly begin his address to the participants. Swamiji, you can start your presentation.
Namaste. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Ji, audible, Swamiji.
Yeah. Namaste.
Swamiji, kindly unmute yourself.
Yeah. So, namaste. A very good morning to all of you. And I'm very happy to be a part of this training program. And in the beginning, I just want to clarify certain things, though it has been clarified. You see, a monk talking about productivity to a group of people who are the senior management of the Income Tax Department of Government of India is a bit paradoxical, because as a monk is a person who has given up one's earth and home in the path of search for God. So a monk talking about productivity. So Swami Vivekananda, as you have just heard also, for the last 23 years and more, I have been I am a monk of the Ramakrishna Martin Mission, and most of you are aware of this organization. And I have been part of various activities at senior and also middle-level management in the organization. Swami Vivekananda, when he went to the West in 1893, he went there with the purpose of showcasing or talking about India and Indian culture, also about Indian religion, not just about Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism, but in general, the spirit of India. That is what he showcased to the West. But when he went there,
Hello.
Swamiji, you've been muted again.
am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, Swamiji, now you're audible.
Okay. So, as I was saying,
Again muted, Swamiji.
I'm being repeatedly muted.
Now you're audible.
Yeah. So when Swami Vivekananda went to the West, the idea was to talk about Indian culture and Indian philosophy, also Indian religion. But then when he went there, he saw an interesting thing. He made an interesting observation. One day, when he was in the house of a host, He said, I have found my love. So the old woman who was there as his hostess, she said, oh, who is that fortunate lady, Swamiji? And Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji said, it is American organization. Swamiji fell in love with American organization. He saw that this is something which Indians don't understand. This is something Indians don't have in their blood. He says, put 4 Indians together and they end up making a quarrel. And put 4 Americans together, they start a corporation. So that is the difference. And from there, he got the idea that for the Indians, it's not just education, healthcare, and general awareness, faith in themselves, which they had lost because of centuries of foreign rule. All these had to be given to the Indians. But above all, they had to be also trained in organization, in management. That is what Swami Vivekananda understood after going to the West, after seeing the American organization. So he started these twin organizations. In the legal language, Ramakrishna Mutt is a trust and Ramakrishna Mission is a society. And we have branch centers of this Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission all through the country. So Ramakrishna Mutt has many branches which are called by different names, but they all are branches of Ramakrishna Mutt and they share the same permanent account number of Income Tax Act. And there is Ramakrishna Mission, which has several branch centers and they all share another permanent account number. So we have 2 legal entities, twin organizations, and they are all essentially managed by monks. That is one of the greatness of this organization. And that is why administrative cost is practically nil. Unless, of course, wherever we have to hire people from outside, otherwise the administrative cost is practically nil. And Swamiji wanted these 2 organizations to be examples of how work can be done. That is the goal. So, in a very revolutionary move, Swamiji started 2 organizations where he wanted to show that how work is done. And repeatedly we have been, this organization, as it was told, was started in 1897. So it's now 123 years. And in the last 123 years, Ramakrishna Mission has shown countless examples of excellence in workplace. And it continues to show that in terms of best practices, in terms of technologies applied, in terms of innovations made, in terms of technologies produced, created, so on and so forth. So it is with that background I am here in front of you, or rather virtually in front of you, to talk about productivity in a stressful environment. Because as far as Ramakrishna Mission is concerned, we work always in a resource constrained environment because we are an organization which depends entirely on donations. Very few activities which we have can produce income. Rest of the activities or most of the activities does not produce income. They do not produce income. They only produce deficit. So we have to cover that deficit. And so we have to constantly source for funds. And so also the environment becomes stressful because it is a resource constrained environment. So for instance, if there is a work which needs, say, a marketing executive, we cannot hire a marketing executive. We simply don't have the money. So we go for something else. We take the person who is there with us and train that person to be a marketing executive. So training is an inevitable part of work at Ramakrishna Mission. For the sake of convenience, I will call it Ramakrishna Mission, not every time Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission. So it's an inevitable part. I remember when I was working in one center in Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, we have a big center which has a big hospital.
सर वो करना पड़ेगा कैसे होता है इसी मोबाइल से जो डिस्कनेक्ट कर दीजिए
So that center, we get donations, but these donations are not huge donations. They are like 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, etc. So we need people who can write donation receipts, and that is a huge affair. So we have, at that time, I'm talking about 2005, we had 2 people doing the work of writing donation receipts. And then we also, as part of financial management, one had to look after different departments. The person who was in charge of accounts department, so to say, it is not just accounts department, it's a huge department. So we had to look after the other departments, coordinate with the auditors, coordinate with the different kinds of people who ensure compliance. So while I was doing that, I found that a person who was working in the Goshala, a person who was 10th class pass, a young boy, he had a wonderful handwriting. We had required something to be sent to us, and he wrote it in his hand, long hand, and that was wonderful. And so because we were running short of people who could write this donation receipt, immediately we brought that person from that department to the accounts department. What I want to say is, this is an ongoing process. Because it's a resource constrained environment, sourcing for funds and sourcing for personnel and sourcing for other resources is an ongoing activity. It goes on and on. Means one has to be always doing that. So when we do that, there is an amount of stress involved. Now, how do you handle that stress? And how do you nip it in the bud, so to say, so that the stress is not produced at all? These are questions we need to understand. These are questions we need to find answers for. So, why is this a stressful thing? For most of you who are senior executives, when I tell this, you might be able to relate with that, probably with some chuckle or smile. See, when somebody tells you that you're promoted, it's a very good news. You're overjoyed, like you're promoted. Most often, the person who is promoting you will also preface the promotion or the news of the promotion with how wonderful you are, what great qualities you have got, etc. Because that person, what that person is not telling you is, with this promotion comes a lot of troubles, which in most cases you cannot pass to the boss. Means you cannot really pass the buck. The buck ends with you. Means the blame game ends with you. So you are the person responsible. You're the ultimate responsible person in that particular situation. Usually, when you get promotion, this is not told to you. You might have gathered that so much because you have been in the organization for a long time. And because also you all are intelligent, that's why you are in this position. So you might have yourself gathered that. And also you might have a faint idea how to manage it because you have been on the other end. So you know, you have done work. So you have some idea. But even that does not prepare you. So suddenly you are now in a position where you have switched sides. Now you know what exactly the other person was talking about. Maybe you are a better executive than the other person. Of course you are, I believe all of you are. But still you get it the real experience you get it directly. And when that happens, that is why it becomes stressful. One of the reasons of stress is owning up the responsibility. So now we have to own up the responsibility. Swami Vivekananda says that when you do a work, when you do something, do it as though the entire responsibility of that work is on your shoulders. But there comes Indian wisdom, the wisdom of Sanatana Dharma and also of various other Eastern religions, most of which have been born in India and some which have been born outside India. What is that wisdom? This wisdom all of you have heard, I think, countless times. And that wisdom is from the Bhagavad Gita. It is there in other books also, but I will quote from the Bhagavad Gita. And what is the wisdom? The wisdom is Karmanyeva adhikarahate ma phaleshu kadachana. You have right only to do work. And you have right only to do work. You don't have right to the fruit of that work. This is the wisdom. And this you have, as I told you, have heard countless times, thousands of occasions, you have heard this. And immediately the question comes, is it even possible? A very reasonable question, is it even possible? We are just quoting scriptures. So as one knows, it's very difficult to, most of the times, implement what is written in the scriptures. In fact, it is most difficult most of the time to implement what is written in the manual which is given by the department. But so what to talk about scriptures? So yeah, it's very difficult to implement what is told in the scriptures. So we have to also see the second line of the shloka, which is the 47th shloka of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. First line is Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetu bhu mate sangotsva karmani. So the first line is you have te adhikara karmani eva. You have right only to perform an action. Kadachana ma phaleshu. Never do you have rights to the results of that action. But the second line says something more interesting. It says, Ma karma phala hetu bhu. Means you don't do work for the sake of getting results, but at the same time, mate sangaha astu akarmani. Don't be attached to not doing work also. So if somebody were to give this logic, oh, I will not do work because anyway I am not going to be attached to the results. So what is the point of doing work? If you don't do work, then you will have no botheration with the results. So let us not do work. So it says, don't be attached to not doing work also. So it's not that you have to give up work, but you have to do work. But at the same time, you have to concentrate on the work, not its results. Interesting. Immediately the question comes, which is a stock question asked by almost everybody whoever reads this verse or is told about this verse. Should we not get salary? Or should we not have goal? How can you do something without having goal? How can you do something without having some kind of aim? So I break it down for you. This shloka does not mean that you should not have goal. This shloka also does not mean that you should not have goal setting or you should not have aim. You should have aim. You should have goal setting, but you should have a target. But what happens if you don't achieve the target? That is the question. Should you get attached to the target? No. You should get involved in the action, not in the tension of achieving the target. That's what this shloka talks about. So, okay, oh, this Bhagavad Gita shloka, who cares? Also, we are all under, not Bhagavad Gita. Government of India does not function like that. Most governments don't function like that. We are under the Indian Penal Code. We are under the Constitution of India. We are under the Criminal Procedure Code, the Indian Administrative Rules, etc. Blah, blah, blah. So we are not under the Bhagavad Gita. So why bother? Okay, that's a good question. So now we shift to the ethical guidelines, or the ethical guidelines that have to be followed by medical practitioners or doctors across the world. Across the world, all doctors, when they qualify their studies, they qualify to become a doctor, they take what is famously known as the Hippocratic Oath. Now, some people may play with the words and say that sometimes it is Hippocratic Oath. Yeah, there is some point to that argument, but it is called Hippocratic after Hippocrates. So that oath is taken, that I will always try to serve, etc. As part of becoming a doctor, one is also supposed to register with a medical council. And that medical council has some ethical guidelines. Very good. Across the world, all medical councils have one guideline. A doctor cannot treat one's kith and kin. That means one's own relative, or a person with whom one is close, one's friend, say a very close friend. A doctor cannot treat that person. But we all the time see doctors, prescribing medicines, etc. to their relatives, known people. So that is, as long as something does not go wrong, it's all right. But when something goes wrong, and if the doctor is questioned legally, then the doctor will be found guilty of violating this ethical principle, that is, do not treat your own kith and kin. Why is this rule? Particularly, this makes sense when we are talking about complicated surgeries. In complicated surgeries, most of the surgeries, many surgeries like the neurological surgery, are called microsurgery, also meaning that they have to be performed using a microscope, because it's not possible to do those surgeries with the naked eye. Even if it is not a microsurgery, many surgeries require careful manipulation, careful, deft handling of things. And if the person whom you are operating upon is a relative, is your kith or kin, then your hand starts trembling. And there are chances, the chances of your committing errors increases manifold. So that is why across the world, all medical councils have this rule that you cannot treat your kith and kin. What is happening here? You are attached to the result. You're attached to the result. And that is why you are unable to perform. You are unable to perform because you are attached to the result. You are attached to the possibility of success, and you are afraid with the possibility of failure. That is what is happening here. And what if this operation goes wrong? You have done countless operations. Say you are a doctor. You have done countless operations, but there the result did not affect you. But here it is affecting you. So this is one example where, without quoting, most of the people who framed these ethical policies were not even people who had read the Gita. Almost all of them did not read Gita. Very few people have read the Gita. But they came up with this policy nonetheless. Why? Because this policy is what we observe. It is based on our observations. This makes sense. If you are attached to the results, you are constantly in attention. Just like you have stage fright. Somebody calls you and tells, speak, and then you are totally nervous. Why? You are a person who have to be requested to stop talking. But the moment you go to the stage, come on the stage, people have to request you to speak. Why? And you're trembling and shivering. Why did this happen? Because you are afraid of the results. That is, the bad results, the negative results of your speech. So how to get to a position where you will not bother even if you fail? That is when Gita comes in. That is when you have to bank on this ancient wisdom. What is it about? Arjuna is a Kshatriya, is a warrior. So he took some oath, like the Hippocratic oath, and he said that I will be a warrior. I will protect my kingdom. I will fight war. I will ensure that no enemy takes away my kingdom. I am a warrior. And when situation demanded that he fight the war, he comes up with wonderful philosophies. Wonderful philosophies. He says, this whole war thing is totally bad. We should not do war at all. You see, war is so bad that we should not do. We should never fight war. Because what is the help? What is the help that war gives us? What is the good that will come out of war? You see, if you fight war, then people who are fighting, many of them will die. When they die in their family, there will be so many widows. Who will take care of those people? And so many family cultures will be destroyed. So many families will become without any head, without any leader. Seeing these leaderless families, many other people may go there and marry or simply control the households. So their cultures will all go away. And with cultures going away, the whole country will be in a very bad shape, because the cultural practices and the linguistic practices will go away. So we should not do war. And also, you see, these people who are standing in front of me, they're all great people in their own manner, in their own right. And they're all related to me. How can I kill them? This Arjuna was talking foul and scolding people who were his teachers, who were his cousins, etc. But the moment he came to war, he said, no, I should not kill my relatives. Where did this sudden wisdom come from? This is called Markata Vairagya, monkey renunciation. A monkey renunciation. This comes, you see, in our ashramas, we always observe one thing. Some people marry, not in the ashrama. Outside ashrama, when people marry, householders, then they come to the ashrama before marriage with their parents. They seek blessings for their married life. Very good. After marriage, say after 1 year or a couple of years or more, they come to the ashrama, and either of the spouse, the husband or the wife or whatever partner, they say that Swamiji, I think I should also stay in the ashrama. Because now they have got that disillusionment has happened now. Disillusionment has happened. So now they say, Swamiji, we should also, I think I should also come and stay in the ashrama. Why did this happen? Markata Vairagya, also called Smashana Vairagya. Somebody passes away and you suddenly have all the dispassion. You suddenly think that this world is not good. That is why in Bollywood movies, or any good movies for that matter, particularly in India, all philosophical songs are after a love break. So after a love failure, you see there are so many philosophical songs. Dost, dost na raha, pyar, pyar na raha. Why suddenly this philosophy? Because you couldn't attain what you wanted to attain. So you are bridging that gap with philosophizing. That is not true philosophy. That is make-believe philosophy. That is consoling philosophy. You are consoling yourself. The moment you get another pyar, you will forget all this and you will jump. So this is how our mind works. So that is why we should not focus on the results. We should focus on the work itself. There is another example from the public life. Suppose a person is there, say Mr. X, and this Mr. X is a director of a company which produces computers. And this Mr. X is also a member of the governing body of a college. Now suppose that college wants to buy computers, and that college has invited tenders for these computers, and the computer company in which Mr. X is one of the directors has submitted the tender. Then when the college conducts a meeting to decide which company will take the order of computers, our Mr. X cannot attend that meeting because there is a conflict of interest. I'm just giving you this example. There are, as you all very well know, being senior executives of the income tax department, that this conflict of interest is a very important aspect in public administration. Here also nobody is quoting the Gita, but conflict of interest is very much there. And one has to ensure that there is no instance of such conflict of interest. So this is another problem where if you are concerned, if you are involved with the result of an action, then you will not be able to perform that action properly. That is why you should not think of the results. There is another example from the world of sports. If you are playing and if you don't concentrate on the play itself, but you concentrate on the result, then you will not be able to play properly. Says who? I can give you two people who say this exactly like this. One is Lionel Messi, the heartthrob of all soccer lovers, and another one is Sachin Tendulkar, the god of cricket. Both people have actually many times told this, that I focus on playing, not the score. Messi has countless times said that I focus on playing. I love to play. I don't focus on how I make a goal. Though I love that too, but I don't focus on that. So focusing on results invariably reduces the quality of the work. So in the Gita, Sri Krishna says, Yogaha karmasu kaushalam. What is yoga? He gives various definitions, but one of the definitions is yoga is dexterity, skillfulness in action. Kaushala, expertise in doing action. And how do you get that expertise? By being unattached to the results, by not being attached to the results. Making work itself a big function, celebrating work itself. Your workplace itself should beam with enthusiasm, brim with enthusiasm. People should work in enthusiasm. Having said that, I straight away come to the problem in front of us. We are talking about soft skills and management. So our problem is two-pronged problem. One problem is people, all of you who are at the senior level management have to manage not just the end user. That means you have to just not manage or interact, in your particular case, the taxpayer, but you have to also interact at a bigger level, almost at a constant level, with people who are supposed to interact with the taxpayer. That means people who are reporting to you. And that is the challenging thing here. Because you may have a vision. It's very easy. Because see, the government of India, specifically the Department of Income Tax, has seen something in you, and that is why they have posted you at that particular place as a senior executive. So you have that particular talent. But how to inculcate that vision into people who report to you? That is a question. How to do that? And soft skills will help you do that. But how to do that? That is a very, very important question. How to do that? And that is where using Swami Vivekananda's ideas and Vedantic ideas from the Upanishads and from the Bhagavad Gita, I have come up with an idea that when we manage employees, we try to do human resource management. We are seeing human beings as human beings. Most of us don't do that. Unfortunately, many people don't do even that. They don't see human beings as human beings. Even to do that, it's a great achievement, I would say. But according to me, we should see every individual not as a human being, not as a male, female, or transgender, but as a soul. As a soul. When I say soul, I don't mean the meaning which is there in other religions. I talk about soul as it is seen in Vedanta. Soul means which is not the body, which is not the mind, etc. Why soul? Because soul is infinite. Atma is infinite. Atma, again, I am not talking about Bhago Bhutaya Atma, not ghost. But Atma, which is infinite, which does not have any boundaries in time, space, and causation. We should see every person who reports to us as that Atma. Why am I saying this? That means that person has the potential, but is unable to manifest it. That person can do it, but is unable to do it. So there is a potential, but that potential is not yet being translated into practice. That we have to constantly remind whenever we see a person. Because what happens when we rise up in the hierarchy of things, when we go to senior management, we see people all around us who are unable to do things which are very easy for me to do. The first problem, the first soft skill challenge in senior management, I can assure you, and most of you already know that, is delegation. It's delegation. See, it's easy to talk about philosophy, great philosophy. But I have to get some work done, right? It all boils down to that, getting work done. Productivity, getting work done. And when I want to get work done, I see this person who is taking hours to do something which I can do in few minutes. So immediately I feel, arey, if I give this person this job, then my whole work schedule will be collapsed. And that feeling is reasonable. That feeling is not wrong, it is correct. Most of the time that feeling makes sense. But, and it's a big but, if I don't delegate this job to this particular person, this person will not learn this job. And thereby, even after 1 month, I will be doing the job and that person will not be doing the job. So delegation is a painful process every senior and mid-level management executive should go through. It's a painful process, but it is not just delegation, it's also training. I'm sure all of you know this. I'm sure all of you know this. But what is the problem here? Why are some people very good at delegation and why are some people not? Because some people have somehow found a way to not get attached to the results so much, which most of us have not found. That is the difference. So soft skill in an environment of stress requires that we stop obsessing about results. So again, please don't get me wrong. We have to have a clear goal setting. We have to know what we want. We have to do everything towards that direction. But we should not constantly obsess. So you see, you are all, most of you have come from various places, but this is based out of Lucknow, right? So Lucknow has got many things, and among all the things Lucknow has got, excellent food is also available. And one of the food Lucknow offers is the Lucknowi biryani. Now, a person who knows how to make pulao or biryani will tell you that if you are making biryani or pulao, it requires a lot of patience. So suppose I am cooking pulao or biryani, and then I now and then lift the lid and see whether it has been cooked. I will never finish that cooking. The patience is required. I have to give it some time. That's what it is true with almost all undertakings we do. We have to give it some time. Delegation, we have to give it some time. So when you see a person as a soul with infinite potential, you see a person as someone who can do things but is not yet there. You see a person means, yeah, she or he can do that but has not yet achieved that expertise. You remind this constantly. Whenever that person fumbles, commits mistakes, you remind yourself constantly that no, this person can do but has not yet achieved that. Again, please don't get me wrong. I am not saying if that person commits some errors, don't rebuke that person or don't point out that error to that person. Do it, but with the thought that essentially there is no difference between you and that person. Essentially, both of you are souls. So you can do it. You have infinite potential. Somehow there is difference in practice, and that other person can also reach there. So when you do that, your way of dealing with the other person will change drastically. I assure you that. Because you know that this person who is sitting on the other side, who is reporting to me, is also equally capable, only has not yet unfolded one's potential. So that is very important to understand. So not human resource management, but soul resource management. So imagine the way you think will change. Most of the times, you know, when we work in structure, particularly in a government establishment, you have to follow structure because that is how things can go forward. When you have to deal with a large number of people, a huge corpus of wealth and resources, there should be a structure to prevent misuse. So when we work in structure, there are a lot of limitations. I gave you an example of how I took a person from the Goshala and put him in account section to write the receipt just because he knew the work and also he had a good handwriting. It's not so simple in government establishments. You know that already. There is a structure. Everyone has to follow that structure. So when you're following that structure, what happens? This structural limitation clouds our minds. And so, even if you see potential in other people, you cannot see potential. What you see is designation. We have been structured like that. We have been conditioned like that. So what I am requesting you is, of course, we have to follow the structure, but along with that, also see the potential that lies inside everyone. And so please be open to the fact that everyone has this potential. Somebody could not get that requisite qualification or experience. Some people did not get that training, so they are not there. But essentially, everyone has the potential. Because when you have this thing in your mind, when you deal with that person, the way you deal will change. If you believe this, the way you deal with change. Yes, that person also can do this, but is not able to do because did not get the training, did not get the adequate environment, did not get the adequate educational qualifications. and experience, so on and so forth. So soul resource management, wonderful thing, wonderful idea. Soul resource management. Everyone is a soul. Let it be a child, let it be a young person, let it be a old person, let it be an experienced executive who has retired, let it be a newly joined executive. Everyone has infinite possibilities within them. This we have to constantly remind, and it has to reflect in our behavior with the other person. So the thumb rule is, whatever whoever says, don't look at what that person is, look at what the person is saying. I am freely translating a couplet told by a saint of Tamil Nadu. Tamil is one of the languages I am proficient in. A saint in Tamil Nadu. His name was Thiruvalluvar. Thiruvalluvar. He wrote couplets, much like in the fashion of Kabir Das in Hindi. But Kabir Das wrote 2 lines. This saint wrote 1.5 lines. He wrote 1,330 couplets like that, divided into 10 couplets, every 10 couplets divided into a chapter, and like that 133 chapters are there. So 133 into 10, 1,330. Every couplet is called kural. Kural in Tamil means sound or voice. Kural. So what just now I told you is from a kural. Epporul yar yar vai kepinum, apporul meipporul kanbad arivu. Most of you I don't think know Tamil, so I will translate it. Whatever you hear from whichever person or whomsoever may say something to you, it is wisdom, it is wise to see the meaning of that thing. Don't see who is telling you. This is an absolutely wonderful management practice. I follow it all the time. And you will be surprised the gem of wisdom one gets from people you did not at all expect to give. Not only that, suddenly your management culture changes. Suddenly you are this person who is open to new thoughts from anywhere. And people are actually willing to work for you, which is a great thing. When you go to senior management level, you will understand that people really wanting to work for you, not because of sycophancy, not because they want to become your chamcha, but they really want to work for you. They want to align with the organizational ideology or organizational vision which you have got. To have such people around you is a great thing, and that comes, one of the steps to attain that kind of a team, to create that kind of a team, is listen to what is being said. Don't look at who is saying this. Just listen to the content and be an unbiased judge of the content. Oh, you are yesterday's fellow. Kal hi to aaye, tum kya jante ho? This is the most cliche problem in top level management. It's a cliche problem. It's a cliche, but yeah, it is there. It's a problem. So that should not happen. So this soul management, soul resource management, seeing everyone with the same attitude in terms of possibilities. But there is a small proviso here. The proviso is that, yeah, you have the possibility, but I need a particular authorization. I cannot say that you have the possibility, so ho jayega. I need the approval and authorization of the person who has to give the approval and authorization. So we cannot do away with the structure. We cannot do without the structure. We have to follow the structure. But at the same time, there are so many things that we can do once we believe that everyone has the possibility of doing things. Then there is a wonderful concept I want to share with you, all of you. Another thing, this whole training of soft skills, it becomes more and more enjoyable if it is interactive. So here, I think there are limitations, but I would be happy if you can come with questions, etc. But if there is technological limitation or otherwise, it's okay. And I always like when we can interact. And it is then when people come up with their problems at the workplace where we can, solve them, or we can find solutions. There is no one solution to a problem, as you all very well know. Swami Ranganathananda Ji Maharaj was the 13th president of Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission. And he used to go across the world and train people at various levels. I'm fortunate to have been initiated into spiritual life by him. He is my guru. He is no more in his physical body. Swami Ranganathan Ji used to say a wonderful thing. He used to regularly address the new IAS pass outs in the staff training academy at Mussoorie. So he used to say, you have to have imaginative sympathy. What is this imaginative sympathy? Suppose somebody is sitting in the central administrative building in Shastri Bhavan in Delhi, Central Secretariat, and is looking at a file which is an application for family pension coming from some distant remote village in, say, Madhya Pradesh. This person should be able to imagine the condition of that family. This person should be able to imagine that such a person will get this family pension and then would be able to run her family, maintain or feed her family, fend for her family. So my one signature is actually affecting the life of a person and also her dependents. So life of an entire family, say 4, 5, 6 or 10 people. That this person sitting in a cabin, AC or non-AC cabin, in Shastri Bhavan in Delhi should be able to visualize it and should be able to sympathetically handle that. When Swami Vivekananda did plague relief work in 1898, 1899, he wrote an appeal for the public, appeal for funds and other help. It was called by him Plague Manifesto. He starts the Plague Manifesto like this. He says, if you are suffering, we are also suffering. If you are happy, we are also happy. In Sanskrita, there is one wonderful word. It is Sahanubhuti. Saha Anubhuti. Experiencing together. Saha means together. Anubhuti, experience. Experiencing together. That is the language. Wonderful idea. Sahanubhuti. So I feel sad when you are sad. I feel happy when you are happy. It's not just sympathy, but it is something like empathy. So what Ranganathananji meant also was empathy. So imaginative empathy. Look at that other person. Think that that person is living in such and such place, is expecting, is waiting for this pension to come. So in the income tax department too, there are so many such examples you can think of, you might have come across. I'm sure you have come across. Where one small remark you write, one small note you write is determining the very basic life of a person. We have to remember that. And we have to act accordingly. It's not just a paper. In the field of medicine, for example, after some time, everyone becomes just a patient, not a person. That should not happen. An assessee should not just become just an assessee. It's a person. It's more than that. It's a soul we are talking about. That idea should be there. Soft skills also mean some other things which we come across in our workplace almost every day. The problem is the problem of leadership. As you might have heard in many workshops, read in many management books, there are various kinds of leadership styles. The various kinds of leadership styles. What is your style? You need to understand that. You need to find out that. What is your style? And is there anything you can change in that style? Based on whatever we just now talked, you have to see every person as a sole resource. You have to have imaginative empathy. Can you change something in your style? You have to also concentrate on what is being said, not who is telling that. Is there something you can change in your style so that you can factor in all these things? You can include all these things. Who is a leader? How to lead? Swami Vivekananda was a great leader, of course, himself, but he had clear ideas about leadership. He said, how to lead? Simple, lead like a baby. When you hear these words, you're like, what? Lead like a baby? Why should we lead like a baby? Baby does not lead. Exactly. Baby does not lead. That is why the baby is the best leader. What do you mean by that? Suppose in a house, there is a baby, an infant. Okay. Now, imagine the baby is sleeping. A 7-month-old infant is sleeping in a house. And you go into that house. You visit that house. What would the people there say? Or if it is your own house, what will you do? You will all keep quiet because the baby is sleeping. If somebody is making noise, they say, hey, chup, hush, आवाज मत करो, चिल्लाओ मत, शोर मत करो. क्यों? बच्ची सो रही है. The baby is sleeping. बच्ची सो रही है. जग जाएगी. She might get up. So don't make any noise. The baby, without having told anything to anybody, has suddenly implemented absolute silence in the house. Another situation, the baby is lying down in her own urine and stool. See, the baby is not bothered. We are bothered, of course. Like, go and clean the baby, change her clothes or change her diaper, whatever the case may be. And the baby is not bothered. The baby is crying. The whole household is involved now in silencing the baby, in the sense that to stop the crying of the baby. Now, how does that happen? Because the baby is not having any ego. The baby is not saying, I am the baby, you have to attend to me. And because of that egoless innocence, that is why everyone is attending to the baby. So you create a team by making everyone who are there in the team, everyone in the team, by making them the boss of the team. That means what? That means everyone can contribute to the team. And you are the team leader, but you say that, you see, you have to do this, you please do this. The way you approach them, please do this, please see this. For example, in my team, all the team members, they want to contribute to the team. It's one thing to contribute because of compulsion, because of fear. Another thing is wanting to contribute. So they go to great lengths to contribute. Now here, I want to draw your attention to a problem, which is a serious problem. in every workplace, which all of you know. And that problem is the problem of passive aggressive employees. Passive aggressive employees. So this is a nomenclature. This is a term which most of you might be aware of. And those few who are not aware of can look it up using the mantra Googlaya Namaha. So you can just Google it and see. Google is a verb, by the way, in English language, which means searching the internet. So you can look it up. But what it means, I will tell you in a summary form, in a nutshell. Passive aggressive employees are those employees who do not want to contribute to the team, who vitiate the atmosphere and the positive spirit of the team. Not only that, they don't allow others to also contribute. And they're constantly complaining. These are the employees who are called passive aggressive employees. Constantly complaining. ये सही नहीं है, वो ठीक नहीं है, उसकी शक्ल तो देखो, ये आ जाता है खड़ूस बॉस, and he is constantly telling something, ये do that do. अभी ट्रेनिंग में लगा दिया है. Training thus, see, things which we bring to create a positive environment itself becomes a big point of complaint. Like, already there is so much work, now I have to attend this training, then I have to also prove that I have attended this training. So much work, so much pressure, always complaining, always bickering. They are called passive aggressive employees, and generally they form about 30% of your workplace. So if you have 100 employees, 30 employees will be this. Sometimes it may be 20 or less than that. That depends on the luck. But generally you can expect up to 30. 3 people in out of 10, 3 out of 10 will be passive aggressive. How to handle these people? That's the point. So first thing is, don't handle them. Don't think that they are something to be handled. I'm giving you an example from the life of Sri Sarada Devi, Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi. She was very good in dealing with people because she knew that everyone is a soul, and because of ignorance is unable to understand or unleash or unravel one's potential. So she was surrounded by many passive aggressive people. So it's not just employees, there can be family members also like that. This is a basic psychological mindset. It's a mindset, passive aggressive mindset. So you tell them anything, they will say, हाँ, ऐसे क्या होगा, क्या कर लोगे? Is it possible? Will you be able to do? What? You don't know anything. How will you do? And if you do also, yes, you are doing now, but how long will you be able to do? Etc. Always negative. They are like the embodiment, impersonations of negativity. How to deal with them? This we have seen happening in school. In school, whenever in the classroom there is a boy who is, or a girl who is creating a lot of mischief, the teacher makes that boy the classroom leader. So now you have a situation where that boy knows exactly what other people might do and would prevent that, or put controls in place to prevent that, and himself will not do things because now that person has got some responsibility. That is one very good way to handle passive aggressive employees. Ask their suggestion. Give importance to their opinions. Ask them to do something. So that has to be done very carefully. Give them a project which is important, but at the same time also have people who will be able to, preferably you yourself, who will be able to manage if something goes wrong. So the very fact that they have suddenly come under your attention, that you are giving attention to them will change many of their qualities. Because passive aggressive employees become passive aggressive employees because they feel they are not attended to. They feel they are neglected. That is one of the reasons why they become passive aggressive employees in the first place. So if you give attention to them, that means it should be sincere love, not just management technique. Sincere love, sincere caring. Those people also come around. And interestingly, when a passive aggressive employee or a passive aggressive team leader comes around, that person produces more than the other people. That person suddenly becomes more productive than other people. That's also a possibility. So give them attention. Give those people attention who would become bad, who would become negative influences in the team if such attention is not got. This is how these employees should be managed. Now, the very important thing in soft skills, which we have to constantly remember, is the mind. It is the mind. Because as the Upanishad says, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. It's the mind which is the cause of both bondage and liberation of human beings. So mind has to be trained properly. It's all about the training of the mind. It has to be trained properly. How to train the mind is a question. And is it possible even to train the mind is another question. Training mind is possible. Who says so? Shri Krishna says it in the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna, he says that you see, you have told so many things, but it is very difficult to control the mind. It's very difficult to control the mind. And to control the mind, I think controlling the mind is like controlling wind. It is very difficult. Sudushkaram, very difficult, Arjuna says. Like controlling the wind. Hearing this, Krishna gives the reply. Sri Krishna says, Asamshayam Mahabaho, Mana Durnigraham Chalam. So Arjuna said, Chanchalam hi Mana Krishna, Pramathi Balavadridam. My mind is Chanchala, restless, and it is Pramathi. That means it takes me, it makes me commit blunders, commit errors. Balavadridam. And it makes me do that forcibly. I don't want to do mistakes, but my mind makes me commit mistakes forcibly. Balavadridam. And to control it, Tasyaham Nigraham Manye. I think controlling mind is Vayoriva Sudushkaram. It is like very difficult, like controlling Vayu, wind. This is what Arjuna says. In reply, Sri Krishna says, Asamshayam Mahabaho. Oh, mighty armed one. Mahabaho. Bahu means arm. Maha means mighty. One who has got great arms. Asamshayam. There's no doubt. Manaha Durnigraham Chalam. Mind is Durnigraha. Difficult to control. And Chalam, restless. Abhyasena tu Kaunteya. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Abhyasena tu, indeed by abhyasa, by practice. Vairagyena cha grihyate. Grihyate, it can be controlled by vairagya and abhyasa. So there was this famous book, Outliers, by Markham. And then Markham wrote there that if you do something for 10,000 times, then you become an expert in that. So people started saying this. It was all there in the cybersphere. internet world. Malcolm Gladwell, outliers. Here there is an important point which one has to understand. If you do something wrongly, erroneously for 10,000 times, you will end up having a wrong idea of that thing. So we have to do it properly. We have to do it properly. And that is why, yes, it is true. Practice makes perfect. But practice which is supervised. Supervised by whom? By myself. How would I supervise? I will constantly refer to the wisdom which is there with other people, which is come by experience. And I will refer to wisdom which has been also testified, ratified by other people, like the Bhagavad Gita. Constantly comparing notes. Then practice. So practice, and then when you see some problem, again change and practice. Correct and practice. So practice with constant correction will make you expert. What will happen? Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha kriyate. So by abhyasa and vairagya, by dispassion. Why dispassion? So to concentrate on something, to practice something, you need concentration. To concentrate on something, you have to remove your mind from other things. To focus your mind on something, you have to withdraw your mind from other things. That withdrawing your mind from other things is dispassion. What is not happening in this virtual environment now, which is one of the reasons this virtual environment is not so conducive to training. In fact, it is not at all conducive to training, but we don't have much alternative in this peculiar times of Corona, which is, I think this is the worst thing mankind has ever witnessed. Because in olden days, there were no alternatives. Now we have alternatives. We can do so many things, but we have been limited. We have been restricted by a virus or some organism called Corona. So what is not happening here is that you're not seeing me in person. I am not seeing you in person. And so I am unable to see what you're doing. So basically, I'm not able to see whether you're focusing on this talk. Imagine a hall, and that might be very convenient for many people. But imagine a hall where everyone is focusing on the speaker, and the speaker is also trying to see whether everyone is focused. Only when that happens, you will be able to focus on what the speaker is saying, and only then you will be able to comprehend something from what that speaker has said. Imagine when that such thing is going on, that there is some very good food being cooked nearby, and the smell of the food is coming through the window. Will not your focus be distracted a bit? Worse still, if there is some song going on, will not your focus be distracted a bit? And that is why we should have the ability to withdraw our focus from other things and put it on the thing that we are concentrating upon. The Harvard University, because generally I quote from the Harvard University, Oxford University, Princeton. I do that not because in Indian books nothing is written or Indian scholars don't know, but because the moment you quote from Harvard University, people listen to what you're saying. So also it's a show off that you know books from Harvard University. So Harvard University, somewhere around 2016, published a book called The Distracted Mind. The book is Distracted Mind, written by a neuroscientist and a social scientist. They went through decades of research, they themselves did, and also went through the research done by others, and came to the conclusion that the human brain cannot multitask. The very important thing we have to understand. In this day and age of smartphones making us unsmart. We cannot multitask because our brain has been produced, the hardware has been produced many centuries ago. Like not centuries, many millennia ago. And so it does not have the capability of multitasking. What does it have? It has the capability of shifting from one thing to the other. So if you're doing something, then after some time you can shift to the other thing. You cannot at the same time do 10 things. That capability your brain does not have. You are not hardwired for multitasking. If you are not hardwired for multitasking, then how do you multitask? That means every time when you think you're multitasking, you're actually moving from one thing you're doing, one task to the other. You're shifting between tasks. And so, no surprise that your focus on a particular task is minimal. So that is why one has to concentrate on what one is doing and avoid other distractions. So one of the biggest challenges in soft skill management is to compartmentalize things, taking things in pieces, different things. So if I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. In between somebody else comes, then I stop this talk if it is necessary, so urgent, and talk to that other person and get back to you. Very important soft skill. That shows that for you, everyone is important. But generally, I talk to one person, and when that is over, then the next person. But the other person should not be kept waiting also. So it's a very tricky thing, but we have to do that. That is, seeing every aspect as important, at the same time prioritizing. Many people have this inability to prioritize. What should be done first and what should be done afterwards? How do you decide what to be prioritized? What will be the priority? So when we prioritize, generally we do a big mistake of prioritizing only things which lead to money or power. We should prioritize things which lead to a balanced life. So if which lead to money or power, we should prioritize things which lead to a balanced life. So if in a day I have not done exercise, then I have to prioritize exercise. If I have to sleep, I have to prioritize sleep. If I have not had food, I have to prioritize food. Saying this at 12:53 might not be the correct thing to tell, but I have to prioritize food. So prioritization should not always be factored with career or reputation or power or money, but also, or rather more importantly, prioritization should be based on a harmonious lifestyle. Then you prioritize. Suppose your food time, you have crossed your food time, prioritize food. Suppose you have crossed your bedtime, prioritize bed. First thing, go to sleep. Don't waste any time. First thing, have food. Don't waste any time. That kind of prioritization is necessary. It's very much necessary. So training the mind is very important. And it can be done in small installments. Regularity is the key word there. Abhyasena tu kaunteya. Abhyasa. It's a thing which we have to have in mind. It's regularity. Regularity is very important. So outside you will be efficient productively. We can call it external productive efficiency and internal spiritual efficiency. What is spiritual efficiency? Are you able to go to bed without any problem? That is spiritual efficiency. Means, are you able to go to bed with a peaceful mind? That is spiritual efficiency. If you are unable to do that, that means there is some confusion in your mind. There is, you have some kind of tension, stress in your mind. So spiritually, you are not efficient. And that is where a very important thing comes in now. To integrate soft skills into our life, to become productive, and to also become better people, people who are loved by other people. Like everyone wants to be in your company, etc. When I say everyone, I don't mean people who have evil intentions. So one cannot be liked by everyone, and one should not be liked by everyone. If everybody likes you, that means there is something seriously wrong with you. But most people will like you, etc. If you have to do that, we have to constantly remind ourselves of one thing. It's very important. It is very, very important. What is that thing? Let it be the President of the United States of America. Let it be the greatest monk this world has ever produced, or the greatest spiritual leader this world has ever produced, or let it be the most wealthiest person in this world. Everyone is going to die. Everybody's body has an expiry date. Everybody's body has a shelf life. And once a person dies, either the person will be cremated or the person will be buried. Either way, if one is cremated, that person will turn into ashes. Or if that person is buried, that person will turn into, decompose into a skeleton, bones. Eventually that also will decompose. So everyone is going to become dust. At least physically, everyone is going to become dust, because Vedanta, according to Vedanta, our true nature is not the body and the mind. It is Atma, which does not have body or mind, which is infinite, etc. But this physical body, physical form is going to turn into dust. Let us remember that all the time. As it is very well known about Alexander the Great, that he requested that his two hands be out of his grave, so that people seeing those hands remember that he came with empty hands and he left with empty hands. Similarly, let us always remember that whatever happens, corona or no corona, everyone is going to become dust. That is, everyone's body is going to become dust one day. That gives you a lot of humility. It also gives you a lot of context. It suddenly makes everything meaningful. With that idea in mind, if we talk, not that तुम भी मिट्टी में मिल जाओगे, but हम भी मिट्टी में मिल जाएंगे, मैं भी मिट्टी में मिल जाऊंगा. Everyone will become dust. So let us have the humility, basic understanding of that. And so that will ensure that you don't need to fuss over things so much. You don't need to make a big ruckus over things so much. That is internal spiritual efficiency. Internal spiritual efficiency. Very important. Internal spiritual efficiency. How do you train the mind? Yeah, we know we need a trained mind, but how do you train the mind? Just like you train a dog, you train the mind just like you train a dog. Usually dogs are trained in a particular manner. So you see a dog and the dog trainer, what does the dog trainer do? The dog trainer says, jump. If the dog jumps, the dog trainer gives it a biscuit, a piece of biscuit, rewards it. If the dog does not jump, then the dog trainer maybe whips it or beats it, punishes it. After some time, the dog understands that if I listen to this word and act accordingly, I will be rewarded. After some time, the dog always listens to the commands. But the dog trainer stops rewarding it. Once the dog becomes habituated to respond to the commands, the dog trainer stops giving it biscuit. So just tells the command and the dog will do it anyway. That is exactly how we have to train our mind. But the point is, how will we punish the mind? Rewarding, we understand. We can get something which we like, etc. and give. Punishing the mind requires a lot of determination. Because we are, most of the times, we are propelled by the mind. It is not like the dog trainer and the dog. So punishing the mind requires a lot of determination, lot of resolution, not like the kind of New Year resolutions which stand only firm only for 2 days maximum. Afterwards, they are all broken. But like true resolution, determined resolution, resolute resolutions, firm resolutions, one should have that. So one should train one's mind. So if you tell your mind to do something, and if it does that, then think what your mind likes and give that as a reward. But what your mind likes should also not be something negative or something which is habit forming, something which is addictive. Then you will be entering into another problem. Then ask the mind to do something. If the mind does not do that, punish it. Deprive it of something which it does not like, which is likes. Deprive it of something which it likes. Don't give it something which it likes. So one way of doing this is by not eating food, because mind is dependent on food. So if you tell the mind to do something and if the mind does not do it, then don't eat food. Skip a meal or two. And when the mind does it, then eat some, maybe one delicacy. Of course, see your health. If you have some health problem, then don't eat sweets if you have diabetes, etc. So this is how the mind has to be trained. And it has to be trained. Now, suddenly everyone asks, oh, how can we train? When can it be trained? It is not so easy. It will take time. It will take time. Now, human beings have an excellent mechanism inside their body that is called homeostasis. What does it mean? It means that when the temperature is high outside, the body sweats and cools the body. So that's why we are warm-blooded animals, not cold-blooded. Cold-blooded means those who have the same temperature as the outside temperature. So our body adapts. If it is cold outside, we shiver and create heat. These are two things, two signs of homeostasis, but there are countless such things, and inside our body there is a state of equilibrium. of temperature and of so many other activities. There is a state of equilibrium. Now the challenge is to bring a homeostasis of the mind, an equilibrium of the mind, where somebody comes and scolds you, you are not disturbed very much. Somebody comes and praises you, you don't start floating in the air. Homeostasis. If you can achieve that, then you will be able to do great things because of that. So a person who has a trained mind and a person who does not have a trained mind, there is a lot of difference between their working style, how they work. A lot of difference will be there. Very important thing we have to use in our daily lives is humor. Laughing and smiling is very important, particularly when we are working in stress relationship, in stress workplace, in stress environment. And to the world, India has proven in Corona that we know this, because if you go to the internet, Facebook, or if you see what videos are forwarded, what kind of videos are forwarded in WhatsApp University. It's called WhatsApp University because many people think what is forwarded in WhatsApp is the gospel truth. So if you look at these, what we as a nation have done is we have made fun of Corona and the circumstances it created like nobody's business. We constantly made TikTok videos about Corona. When people were suffering because of Corona across the world, also in India, we were laughing about Corona. So there's something inherent in us which makes us make light of big problems. It's not just carelessness. We do have an idea of things being eternal, that this also will pass away, etc. And so we have made fun of Corona like anything. That is why humor is necessary. Many people, they keep their faces as though they suffer from constipation or indigestion. Actually, Swami Vivekananda, when he was commenting on the Raja Yoga, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, while he was commenting on a sutra in the second chapter of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, where this word comes Sattva Samshuddhi, he said cheerfulness. He says that the first thing that you are, first sign that you are becoming religious is that you are becoming cheerful. He says you do not have any idea, you do not have any right to spread this terrible disease to the world. Long face may be because of dyspepsia. Dyspepsia means indigestion, not because of religion. So people keep their face like this, very serious. Like this, they'll keep their face. Long face. Like somehow they are suffering from some stomach problem. We should laugh often. We should smile often. We should take things in a light manner often. If we do that, the stressful environment itself becomes de-stressed. De-stressed. Humor is a thing, is a faculty of the human being. We don't have evidence of humor being faculty of other living beings. There may be there, but we don't have the evidence. So that humor should be there. And that humor should be there where? Not in a particular place, not only in a particular place, not only in the cinema theater or in the entertainment area, but it should be there in the workplace. Humor. Just imagine you are discussing about something very serious, and if there is some humor added to that, you will be able to better discuss that problem. Seriousness should be there, of course, but humor also should be there. And humor is something which you can use as a tool to talk to your subordinates, people who are reporting to you. Humor opens up people, even if it is the taxpayer you want to talk to. And there is something very tricky. If you can properly handle humor, you can break the ice. So humor is very important, particularly when the discussion or the situation is becoming too serious. Humor can come in as a handy tool to reduce this tension, reduce the seriousness of the issue there. So humor, and unfortunately in our country, very few people use humor. It's always about seriousness. It's always about seriousness. One of the reasons of stress is the difficulty in accepting change. When this program was being introduced, there was a talk about change. Change is one of the reasons for stress. Say, suppose there is a person who is 50 plus, and that person has to suddenly learn some technology to perform one's day-to-day activities at the workplace. That automatically brings a lot of tension, a lot of stress. Because if you don't learn, you will not be able to perform. And you will have to, means you will be superseded by people who are much younger to you in age and experience. That produces a lot of tension. So change has to be accepted. You see, a person who is not open to change will change. Means that person will be changed. That person will have to go. Change will not, the only thing constant about change is change itself. So change will not wait for anybody. This is something which we fail to understand over and again. Every time there is a policy change, every time there is a change in the tools of working, every time there is a change in the modalities of working, there is a lot of pressure, there is a lot of resistance. And the more we resist, the more difficult it becomes to handle change. So that is why we have to accept change and adapt to change. Easier said than done. So how can we always be prepared to accept change and adapt to it? By having a very good learning curve. What does that mean? By constantly updating ourselves, constantly learning. If we are in the habit of constantly learning, say we read every day, and no amount of information on the internet, no amount of access to internet tools can substitute reading, plain old reading. So reading is very important. So if one reads half an hour one day, every day, that person will attain a lot of knowledge, learn so many new things. And that person will constantly prepare oneself for change. But again, here it is very important to remember what is that we should read. Not anything we read. Like if we say, oh, reading has to be done. So every day we read what messages have been forwarded to us in WhatsApp or Facebook. That would not help us. So reading books that are about the work we are doing, that are about the kind of environment we are working in, and the challenges that that environment faces, challenges in that environment. Such kinds of books we have to read. And if we read, automatically we will be preparing ourselves to face change. And when some change happens, we will be better prepared and ready to handle that change than if we are without reading habit. So reading is very important. Learning curve, reading, learning to know about new tools of work, new software. That is how we prepare ourselves. And if you are prepared, then you have to change. Now, we are all senior executives here. So change, also how to bring change, how to implement a change. So that is what in management language is called being a change agent. Either you are the person who brings the change, or you are the person who implements a change. The change may be something which your senior or your boss has told you, but how to implement it? For that, again, you have to lead like a baby. Only a very good team leader can implement changes. So you give that change as an option to people, not as compulsion. And explain to your subordinates why that change is necessary in the first place. Sometimes it might not be able, you might not be able to, it might not be possible to explain it rationally, because some changes might not be rational. Some changes might not be rational. So it might not be possible to explain it rationally, and there is no change that is completely rational or completely irrational. So there may be aspects of that change which can be critiqued or criticized. Let it be so. Let the change come first as an option and let it be critiqued. And then of course that will come as a compulsion. In a government setup, this first change coming as an option might not be possible. So it has to come as a compulsion. Let it come, but let there be some space for discussion and feedback. Once you give the space to give your feedback and implementing the feedback in one's own way, not going away from the government guidelines or the guidelines which have been given, once that is done, this change would be better implemented. Better implemented. So when we are talking about soft skills, we have to remember that here we have to have some kind of practice to still our minds. Some kind of practice where we really take care of our minds. The problem is, for the body, there are so many things. You take a shower, you bathe, you wear clothes, you take food, you sleep, etc. But for the mind, we don't have any such practice. So sitting still in a place regularly, morning and the evening, 5 minutes, closing your eyes, trying to not think anything, just sitting there, trying to empty your mind, not think anything. And if some thought comes, ignoring that thought. This exercise, even if it is done for 5 minutes every day in the morning and in the evening. Morning preferably just before you do anything else, after you have taken your shower, etc. And evening, after you have done everything and you're probably going to sleep before that. Just stilling your mind and just trying to not think anything. Just, you can imagine something, you can imagine a flame of a lamp. Flame of a lamp. You can imagine and try to focus on that. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. You'll be surprised how much change this exercise can bring. And if you do it constantly for 1 month, you'll be surprised how it can change that. Then there are certain small things which bring a lot of change. For example, in the workplace, say somebody's birthday. The entire workplace comes together and wishes them on their birthday. It will take only 2-3 minutes. But that exercise is very easy. Many people do it. I'm sure many of you here do it. But all of us should do it, because that creates a different environment altogether. Everyone comes together and sings a happy birthday to you or something. A feeling of camaraderie, a feeling of fellowship. If we can bring that in our workplaces, then automatically our workplaces change. It gets a different enthusiasm level. It gets a different team spirit. So let us rewind and let us recapitulate what we saw. First, we have to see every person not as a man, woman, or transgender, but as a soul. As a soul. Second, we have to have what is called imaginative empathy. That means somebody is sitting somewhere else, distanced, and is waiting for that help which we are in a position to do, or waiting for the outcome of our one signature or one approval. We have to visualize that person, this imaginative empathy. So instead of human resource management, it is soul resource management. Always remembering that that other person also has the potential to do exactly what I have done. Only thing is that potential has not come into practice. This and the Gita from the shloka from the Gita. The shloka from the Gita. Karmanyeva adhikarahate ma phaleshu kadachana. You have rights only to action, not to fruits. That means you should not get attached to the result of the action. You should never get attached to the result of the action. Also, there should be goal setting. You should be focused on your goal, on the target, but you should not get attached. You should be focused on the action. And that is why there is conflict of interest. That is why medical practitioners are asked not to treat their kith and kin, etc. Then do not think of who is telling you something. Only think of what is being told. So irrespective of the position or the capacity of that person, you get the real essence of the content. And then let us all be open to change. Open to change by keeping ourselves up to date. By keeping ourselves up to date. So let us be open to change. The only way we can be open to change is by accepting change. Then lead like a baby. Lead like a baby. Lead like a baby. Do not have the ego, or do not at least bring out the ego that you are the leader. Let everyone share the responsibility and also the credit to lead like a baby. And people who are passive aggressive, those who are critiquing you, those who are creating problems for you, those people, let them come out with solutions. Give them the opportunity to bring out solutions. If you give them the opportunity to bring out solutions, they will sometimes become very good contributors to the team. So these are my thoughts on how to increase productivity in a stressful environment. And if there is time, I would be happy if I can address some questions, etc. And if there is no time, I'm very happy to have been part of this one-day webinar on soft skills and management. And I look forward to interacting with all of you even after the corona pandemic subsides, probably in person. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Well, we'd like to request some of the participants to raise any question or any query or any discussion that they would like to initiate at this point of time. Any of the participants would like to say anything at this point of time? In case anybody wants to contribute something or ask anything, you're most welcome. You can kindly unmute yourself and speak.
Good evening, sir. This is Mrinal Kumar Das. I am Additional Director Investigation NER. So it was a very enriching discourse on the particularly the leadership part. Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, please. Namaste.
Sir, so actually, what I gather from the discourse that, sir, you have so nicely and eloquently given is that the co-opting leadership basically is a composite concept. What I understand, like in the leadership model, you co-opt your team members. So it is not that there is some common leader who leads the team. Actually, it's an abstract. It is taken to an abstract level where every member leads in some area of the field that they are operating. Under these circumstances, sir, we have, in particular in bureaucracy, their strict hierarchical setup where the chain of command runs. How this composite leadership can be integrated into the hierarchical system, because the decision making has a ladder mainly from in the which comes from the chain of command. The functionary operates. So according to you, how this can be integrated into the hierarchical system that bureaucracy is known to have? Composite leadership model that you said, right from Gita onwards, sir.
Yeah. So I will repeat your question. Your question is, you have understood what I told about leadership to be something very composite and maybe abstract. Your question is that when we talk about leadership in the practical world, it is in a hierarchical model, where you have to give some instructions and people have to listen to it. They have to obey, kind of. So how can this composite thing be applied there? So there I will make a clarification. You see, leadership, the very aspect, the very idea of leadership, most of the times is in a hierarchical setup. It is not only in the bureaucracy. It is always in a hierarchical setup. Say I am leading I am managing many institutions here, a big school which has more than 3,500 students, 120 teachers. Then there is a kindergarten. Then there is a polyclinic. Then the ashram, a monastery with monks. So here I have to ensure that what I say is done. There is a very clearly defined line of command. There is a very clearly defined hierarchy. It's not that everybody can do everything. No, that cannot happen. Means if it happens, there will be pandemonium. So the leadership example which I talked about is very much implemented in such a setup. See, people are all intelligent. They will not, when you are the boss, they will not, most of the people will not question that you are the boss. Your boss position will not be questioned. But how do you want them to contribute? Nobody would want to, supersede you because it has got its own problems. They all, in the beginning, I told you, when somebody tells you that you are promoted, they are not telling you that there is a whole bunch of problems which comes with the promotion. So people who report to you are very well aware of that. They don't want that jhamela. So they are not going to supersede you in practical this thing. But how are you going to ask them? How are you going to inspire them to be part of the team? So this is very much in a hierarchical setup. Implementing these things is very much in a hierarchical setup. It is not in a setup where everybody is the leader, because that doesn't work simply. Everybody will not be a leader in a team, because if that is so, then there is no line of command, there is no line of authority, and there will be confusion. There will be confusion. So whatever I talked about is very much implemented. There have been examples, there are examples, and it can be implemented in a very structured, bureaucratic, hierarchical structure. So how to do that is a challenge, and there you have to, we have to practice that in small installments. Overnight, nothing will happen, obviously. In small installments, one day at a time, we take some particular aspect, and then we practice that kind of practice. Hope I could answer your
Thank you, sir.
query.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I have understood, sir, in this right context, and it is very much actually appreciated that the whole the leadership concepts that we have gone through along with your discourse, sir, that team building, that motivation comes from the manner in which the leadership is exercised within that setup of hierarchy which is existing everywhere, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Swamiji, you have very well explained how we can make our scriptures relevant to our real life situations, and in a very scientific way. And that is, I think, the beauty of Swami Vivekananda's ideas and explanations also, that we are able to make all the scriptures very relevant to our present times, and make them look as if they actually always universal in nature, and not only just make them look, but make it absolutely clear to us that they are universal in nature in any case. We'd like to invite some other participants if anybody else has to contribute something at this point of time. Anybody else would like to say something here, or convey something to Swamiji, or ask any question? You are most welcome. Just unmute yourself and go ahead.
I'm Ajay Kulkarni here. I work as Additional Commissioner in Amravati near Nagpur. Swamiji, I am very grateful for your lecture today, and I, in my own way, read one chapter of Gita every day along with its translation. And it has helped me in my life, and the way you have put things today in the lecture, it has really helped every participant, and we hope that we will implement it in whatever capacity we are given in the department, and we will certainly take this organization further. Once more, I thank you, Swamiji. Dhanyavad.
I am Sumati Venkatraman.
Thank you very much. Let me take one more speaker.
Yes, sir. I would also like to thank Swamiji for his discourse, which was so relevant and point-wise, which was pertaining, relating to our department and our hierarchical structure, was explained by him, and the solution given to each kind of a scenario. So thank you very much, Swamiji. It was really an eye-opener. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Sir. On behalf of all participants and Team DTRTI Lucknow, I offer sincere thanks to Narsimhananda Swami ji, who delivered a very inspiring lecture today. We all are thankful because he understood problem of a government organization and dealt with in a very illustrative manner and offering solutions. We in the government service are goal oriented right from the day we enter into the government service, and our thinking gets molded accordingly, and we never get time to get rid of such thought process. The Swamiji's guidance will help us in getting rid of from this type of mindset. Further, he has guided us to think ourselves or other person as a pure soul and not merely as a human being. When we think ourselves as a soul, we get a thinking that we have immense possibilities, immense capabilities and potential. And we inspire our team accordingly. So this will lead to increase our productivity. I think the session is very inspiring and will be beneficial for all of us in coming days. I again thank you, Swamiji, for your valuable guidance and such a thoughtful lecture on the subject. I thank you.
Swamiji, on behalf of the DTRTI Lucknow, we thank you for having delivered this lecture to us. It came to us almost as a blessing. And we look forward to learning more from you in future also. And we'd like to be connected with you so that we can clarify a lot of our doubts in due course of time. Swamiji, we thank the Belur Much also and the Vivekananda Mission for helping us out and for having given us this opportunity to share, to understand the sharing that you have done and to participate along with you. Obviously, you are speaking from Kozhikode, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and it gives us a fantastic feeling that our speakers are present in various nooks and corners of the country, and we are able to understand them and speak to them and interact with them while sitting in various other parts of the country. Because the participants of this particular webinar are also hearing you and listening to you and looking at you from various parts of this country. And they are all senior officers of the Income Tax Department. So on behalf of the entire department, we thank the Vivekananda Mission and you, Swamiji, for having delivered this session for us. Thank you so much. Now, we invite our participants to join us for the next session, and that will be starting at 3 o'clock. So please join us about 30 minutes before that. Try to join us by 2:30, if not by 2:45, so that session will be delivered by Dr. Himanshu Rai, the director of Indian Institute of Management in Indore, which is one of the leading management institutions in this country today. So we look forward to having you with us in that lecture once again. Meanwhile, enjoy your lunch and let's get back together. Thank you so much.